Welcome to Why I Quit, a show that interviews people quitting their 9-to-5 jobs in search of something different. Listen to inspiring conversations where we dive deep into the stories of why people quit their jobs, what were the hardest parts, where are they now, and any advice for people following the same path. I am so excited to introduce Maria Traino as this week's guest on Why I Quit. Listen to Maria's story of quitting 3 different jobs as she was trying to find a career that she was passionate about. Learn how she always had side jobs while working full-time and how this led her to making the leap to start her own agency. Get inspired hearing how she scaled her business while starting another business to coach other entrepreneurs following a similar path. Thank you for joining me today, Maria. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dave.
So to start off, I'd love to jump back into what was your first job after school?
Funny story there. I went to school to be a graphic designer and advertiser, and my mother always said, well, you can't just be an artist, you need to understand business. So she made me get a minor in marketing, which was the smartest thing I ever could have done. I thought I was going to graduate from college with this awesome portfolio and all these ideas and get a job at some big marketing agency, some big ad agency, and just be an amazing graphic designer and someday move up to be, art director. And I landed in Scranton, and my job interview was on a Saturday, red flag number 1, and I was there for like 2 hours. He offered me the job. I was there for 3 months. I realized this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. It was high pressure. It was intense. There were a lot of personalities going on, and I wasn't happy. And I thought, wow, I chose the wrong career. What did I just spend 4 years on? And I really was considering going back to school.
And as you're looking at your next options, where is your head at? Are you, I know you mentioned potentially looking to go back to school. Are you also looking at other jobs at the same time?
No, it was 2006. And I was like, okay, I think I want to be an art teacher. So I think I'm going to go back to school to be an art teacher for elementary school kids. So I went from like big ad agency to that's not it. I wanted to be an art teacher for small children. And I shadowed my old art teacher, and I was like, this is not it at all. I do not have the patience for this either. So I had a relative who was working at the newspaper, and I knew she was in the art department of the lifestyles. I reached out, and I'm like, can I please get an internship, something? I have this degree, I want to use it. She got me a job as an intern, and for a couple months I did that, fell back in love with graphic design, fell in love with storytelling with design, because it really wasn't about the design as much as it was telling the story. And I really learned a lot. They hired me straight away, stayed there for 2 years, loved it, worked with a really cool team, learned a lot about news, learned a lot about storytelling there.
What I like about that is that you are just experimenting and you're trying to figure out what you like. And I think a lot of times it's so much of it is trying to figure out, what you don't like to do just as much as what you like to do. As you are starting, this new role, you said you were there for 2 years. Do you have in your head that you think you're going to be there for a long period of time? Or are you thinking about the next thing?
Great questions. I'm the kind of person that gets bored when they get good at something. And I felt like I was getting really good at page design. And I was ready to move up the ladder to the next level. And it was a small newspaper, small lifestyles department. And right now, the woman who was ahead of me is still there. So I saw the writing on the wall. There was no chance I was ever going to move up here. And it was now 2008, and the recession hit. Newspapers weren't getting advertisers anymore. People stopped advertising. Price of ink went up. Price of paper went up. There was a hiring freeze. Morale was plummeting. People were freaking out. And I was like, I'm going to get axed. I'm the newest in the department. They're gonna lay me off. They're going to fire me. I'm not going to have a job. So I quit before they could. So here I am 24 years old, and I'm quitting my second job already.
Did you have another plan, or were you just quitting and then I'm going to figure it out?
I decided I was going to quit, and I started looking around, and I was working out at a gym at the time, and I made a friend, and she worked at a hospice, a nonprofit hospice. And she was like, I think we're hiring in community relations. You should come work here. They pay really well. And I'm like, okay. So I packed up my college portfolio, added in a couple page layouts from the newspaper. They were super impressed by it. And they said, well, you can be our in-house designer and you can do some public relations work. And I'm like, great. This is pulling in the marketing piece. What a cool opportunity. And I loved the marketing director there. We're still good friends. And I took the job. And I stayed there for 5 years.
I know something I was reading about in your bio is that your family owned a restaurant. So as you are growing up in school in initial jobs, did you always have the entrepreneurial bug? Did you expect to, eventually start your own business?
I never really thought about it. I never really expected it. I did always have a side hustle. When I was in high school, I was asked to paint murals at a local paintball field. So I'd cut out these big plywood things and paint them and all these fun things. And then it turned into, invitations, and I would do menus for the restaurant, and, one thing led to another, and I would have these steady side projects. I didn't really think of it as a business. I just thought of it as more fun things that I got to do. That was my hobby. It was design. It was my career, but it was also my hobby. I loved it so much. And to get paid for it was even better.
Are you doing side jobs while you are at this full-time job at the nonprofit as well?
Yep. Some nights and weekends I would do that. I was probably still waitressing too.
What was the moment that you first realized that you want to do that full-time?
It was a divorce. 27 years old. And I had been at the hospice for maybe 4 or 5 years at the time. And I had gone through a divorce. And it was that earth-shattering quarter-life crisis. Lost all my friends. Didn't know who I was anymore. Totally and completely lost. Wasn't super loving my job anymore because it was the same colors, the same fonts, the same messaging, the same audience, the same. So I literally looked at my life one day and I said, I have nothing left to lose. The only thing that's lighting me up right now is these 5 freelance clients. And I looked at my books and I said, okay, how much money do I need to save to quit this job? I knew I was making $15,000 a year with my freelance projects. I'm like, that's a good chunk. That's a good chunk of a salary. What if I was able to double it? So while I was at the hospice, they gave mileage reimbursement. And I was a marketer, so I got to hit the road. So I was like, great, I can make some extra money if I drive more. I can make some extra money if I convince these freelance clients to give me more work. And I can waitress and really hustle. And I can save all this money so that I can quit my job. And that's what I did.
From when you started thinking about how much you had to save, how much time do you think passed until you officially quit your job? 3 months.
Yeah.
How hard was that conversation having with your boss at that time?
I lied. I felt terrible because they were so good to me through everything, the personal things I was going through. And it is a nonprofit organization, and the people I worked with were just like angels on earth. So I felt bad. I felt really bad. And so I lied a little bit and said that I was going to help my parents at the restaurant because they had gone through a flood. I said, well, I need to help my family right now.
You felt like you were letting them down by leaving?
Yeah, I did. Hindsight, it's they probably didn't care at all. Yeah, I really felt bad.
And so from the moment you quit, where's your confidence level at? Are you terrified of, am I making the right decision? Did you feel confident that you had built up enough savings and enough clients that you thought, I can make this work?
I'm sure there were some doubts. Because of the personal struggles I was going through, I was really leaning into my faith and my spirituality. And I was open to the idea that there was more for me than what there was. And I was open to the idea that challenges happen for a reason and that it was on me to make the most of it. It was around that time when I realized I'm a designer. That doesn't limit me to what I can design on a computer. I love to paint rooms. I love to redecorate rooms. I loved, making things. And I realized, well, why can't I just design my life? If I was able to save that kind of money in 3 months by hustling, what could I do if I was able to focus all of my attention on hustling and not just like a couple hours a day?
So paint me a picture of that first year.
I said to myself, it was September of 2012, and I said, by this time next year, I want to make the same amount of money I was making at the hospice, which I think was like $65,000 or something at the time. And I matched it.
Was there a specific client or sale or moment when you realized that I can do this long term?
Yes. Somehow I got connected with the CEO of Main Source, which is like a huge mega corporation. They've since gotten bought out. And he reached out and he said, we're opening up a new division of our company and we need a logo for it. Will you do it? And at that moment, I'm like, I don't even know what to charge. Like, I'm a brand new business. And now I knew when I started my business that I wasn't just a freelancer. I knew that I didn't want to do invitations, party invitations. Like, I wasn't going direct to consumer. I really wanted to focus on business because I had worked with some businesses and they had the money. I knew they had the budget. They had the big ideas. They had the bigger projects. So I said, I need to be an LLC. I'm not going to make it my name because I want to scale. This is a real business. So when he approached me, I'm like, it's working. It's working. I'm attracting the businesses and not somebody's kid's birthday party invitation. So I immediately got on score.org and it's mentors. So it's like retired rich people who've been so successful in business that they just want to give back and teach things to new business owners. So I got matched up with this guy named Marty, and he's a saint. He's like my little angel. I love him so much. I talked to him, and I'm like, what do I charge this company? Because I want to be valued. I want to provide value, and I knew that exchange of money was just an important piece of that. And if I wanted to be respected and trusted, I needed to charge the right amount of money. Not too low and not too high, because I wanted it, but I wanted to be respected. So we found like a sweet spot and I'm like, this is it. And he said yes. And he signed it and I did the design and I delivered it. And then I submitted it for an award and it won a gold Addy Award. And I'm like, I am on the right path. Like all signs point to yes. And I just kept going from there.
You were doing side projects, but you hadn't run your own business before. What was the transition to going to full business owner when dealing with, taxes, contracts, healthcare? What was that process like for you, especially in the early days?
Don't remember the healthcare piece. I think I found something that was really cheap at the time. I don't know how much it was, but it was like bare minimum. But I was young, I was healthy, I didn't have any concerns. I was in my 20s. That was healthcare. Taxes and stuff I did. I searched out an accountant. He ended up getting arrested or something. So I did go through a handful of accountants. I will say to anyone listening, do your homework, ask questions, get a great accountant on your side. When I did finally find the one, they helped me double and then triple my business very quickly.
I also think that there are so many write-offs that you can take advantage of. There's so many ways that you can file things the wrong way. And I definitely agree with you that having a good CPA is one of the most important things for a small business owner.
100%. Yeah. Don't skimp out on that one.
How long did it take for you to feel stable and secure in terms of running your business, or were you just so focused on growth at that point?
I was very focused. I was focused on providing a good product. I was very focused on that because I knew that my reputation was on the line. And if I wanted to scale at all, relationships were important and providing the highest possible value I could was important. When I was at the hospice doing marketing, the doctor there, the chief medical officer, used to always say, under promise and over deliver. And so that repeated in my head over and over and over again. And when you're first starting out, it is crucial to get in there, build that strong relationship with your clients and your customers, and do the very best you can. and have open communication. I would say those are the three biggest things, because you can screw up. You're going to screw up. You're going to make a mistake. It is inevitable. There's going to be things you make or sell or whatever that they're not going to like. But if you have a really strong relationship with them, and if you are upfront and honest when things are not working out the way things were expected, if you express your expectations upfront and get theirs upfront, that is irreplaceable.
From when you first start out with your design company, I'm assuming it's just you. Talk to me a little bit about, scaling the team and growing that agency.
Yeah, I worked from home, and I knew early on I want to always work from home. I don't want to have an office. It seems like too many variables for me, too expensive. Scranton is not like a very wealthy area, and I knew that I needed to be at a price point where I could live off of it and still service the small businesses that I wanted to. I like working with huge corporations, of course, but I really have always been drawn to like the entrepreneur, the mom and pop, that visionary, passion-driven person. Like that's what lit me up more than anything, and still does, honestly. After I started my business, I met my husband. I moved in with him. We got married. I will say, being a new business owner in a new relationship, in a new marriage, when my hobby was my business, my passion was my business, like my side time was my business, I could have worked 24 hours a day. I loved it so much. And I would say like one of our biggest like points of argument was like, you're working all the time. And I'm like, no, but I love it. He's like, but you're working all the time. He's like, this doesn't make sense. Like, you're not supposed to be working all the time. So it was like a little bit of an adjustment, like finding my way, figuring out how to balance work and life, carving out time, blocking out time. I learned a lot about time blocking and focusing on one thing. Multitasking isn't real. Stop trying to do all the things all the time. Focus, have lists, prioritize, be really efficient with your time, be really efficient with your energy. Then as things grew and as clients got bigger, I started to say yes to more services than just I was able to do. And that's when I started bringing in other subcontractors to partner with on certain things for certain clients. Because, like I said, that relationship was more important to me than anything. And I saw opportunities to scale, I'm just one person doing one thing, graphic design. And I knew if I wanted to increase my rates or get different clients or new clients, I had to either add services on or, bring in more value. So that's when I started teaming up with a copywriter sometimes, a web designer sometimes, a photographer sometimes. But I always made sure they were under me and I stayed at the point of contact. I kept that relationship. And honestly, that's how I scaled. And I just kept going like that and focusing on our clients' branding, making sure that was strong, and then bringing in the experts that were needed as the clients needed it.
Something that people get really nervous about is, especially if there's an area that they have never worked in or they don't have expertise in, they'll shy away from that. But, you went ahead and you just decided to, take the risk and, see if you could figure it out. And so walk me through about how was that process? Were there learning curves? And, what were some takeaways you had while scaling into new areas of new types of business?
It was scary for sure, because I wanted to maintain that quality output. And when you're bringing in other people, you can't really control that too much. So that was a little bit nerve-wracking. And you learn a lot, and you're uncomfortable 99% of the time. And you have to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Otherwise, you're never going to grow. You're probably going to start failing, honestly. Like, you're not even going to maintain if you're not comfortable being uncomfortable. Every day, there's a new challenge. Every day in business, whether it's I don't know how to respond to this email, or I need workers' comp. It could be big or small, but there's always a challenge, and there's always creative thinking that has to happen. And
how important was failing, or the times that you failed, to end up growing your business as a whole?
I think somewhere deep down, I always knew that failing wasn't really failing because I had had epic failure as a 27-year-old. And I didn't fail. I rose from the ashes. So I think somehow deep down, I always knew that every challenge was really just an opportunity in disguise. And if I looked at it that way, I could laser focus on the lesson, learn it, overcome it, and keep moving forward.
I want to go back to the work-life balance. I know especially for just anyone working from home, it's become even more difficult to separate work from life. And so what are some things that you've learned, and what are some tactics that you've used to, separate that out and have more work-life balance?
I would say we're one person. We're one whole person, work and life, especially when you work from home. It's the same. Stop trying to divide it. Number one, just be. You're you. Work is part of your life, especially as an entrepreneur, because you're passionate about it. You wouldn't want it any other way. But also, you're human. And if you have success in your business, all the success you could ever dream about, but you have no one to share it with or no time to share it with the people that you love, what's the point? And I think the idea of balance is more so just integration. Some days you're going to be all in on business. Some days you're going to be all in on family. But that doesn't mean that it's off balance. And so I do think prioritizing everything together. I enjoy being alone in the mornings with my cup of coffee. To me, that's how I stay grounded, centered, focused. I get my energy that way. So I prioritize that. That's me time. And that makes me a better business owner, a better wife, a better mom, a better everything. So that's my non-negotiable. I have non-negotiables in business. I have non-negotiables with my kids. I have non-negotiables with my husband. Taking vacations was hilarious early on because he's like, why are you working on vacation? I'm like, I'm a business owner. That's what we do. And he's like, no, they don't. They don't have to. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's true, then what can I do? What adjustments can I make? How can I plan ahead? There's no hard and fast rules to anything.
I think the longer that you are in business too, the more things that you realize that you can say no to. And I think that was one of our biggest learning curves, is that we were just saying yes to everything, or we were too nervous about what the client would possibly think about something. But at the end of the day, you set the expectations as a business owner. And as long as you communicate those effectively, you can determine what your schedule is going to be, what time frame you respond in, when you're working, and all these other things.
Yeah, you get to be a leader in your life. You get to be that. As an entrepreneur, as an employee, as someone in transition, it doesn't matter. You get to be a leader for yourself, for your personal well-being, for your relationships. I think especially as an entrepreneur, if you're selling products and services and someone's buying them from you and they're giving you money for that, that means they can't do it themselves. That means they recognize you're offering something that they don't already have. Therefore, you are an expert in that area. So when you step into that, everyone wins because they need that from you. They want to be coming to you if they were a leader in that area. So even when that self-doubt starts to come in, you're like, oh, it's a really big client. That's a really big company. Who am I to take that on? They're hiring someone because they don't have that. So the sooner you're able to rise to the occasion, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Talk to me a little bit about where you are today with your design business. And I know you've started a coaching business as well. So, talk to me about where you are now and then what the goal is over the next few years as well.
So a couple of years ago, I realized that the only way I was going to scale was more bodies, more designers, more people. So I went on a hunt to find the best designer I could, and I did. She has her master's in design. She is brilliant. She's efficient. And I knew that we were going to work from home. Non-negotiable. This is our company. We're kind of brick and mortar. We serve local, but we're virtual. She's a mom. She has kids. She has a family. And right from the beginning, I said, I don't care when you work. As long as you get the job done, as long as you're still loving the work you're doing. I want to make sure what she's doing she loves. Because I know that that's what's going to produce the value that our clients are going to need. To this day, I don't know how many hours a day she works. I don't know how many hours a week she works. But our clients are happy. The output is phenomenal. She's able to work when her kids are off school. It's kind of a dream. So we're living the dream. We have so many amazing specialists that we call on, and the jobs we're taking on are bigger than ever. Our teams are getting bigger and stronger. It's really cool. However, remember I said when I get really good at something, I get bored? A couple years ago, I started this, there was something calling me and pulling me. And it's like, come on, Maria, come on over here. There's something for you over here. And I'm like, no, I'm a designer. I'm going to stay here. And it's like, no, come on. There's more for you than just this. Keep going. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And I fought it for 2 years. And then finally I was like, what is it? 2020 hit. The world got weird. I was facing this thing that had been calling me and nudging me. And it was coaching. And I had become obsessed with brain science. As weird as that sounds, but I think as a marketer, you're interested in psychology anyway. So I stumbled upon this neuropsychologist. I stumbled upon her blog, and I related so much to what she was saying. And she said one thing that made me change. Well, she said two things that made me change everything. The way I looked at my life, my business, everything. The first thing was a story that she had a nonprofit business. She found out she was pregnant, and she knew that she would have to give something up. Do I give up my nonprofit business so that I can be a mom? Because I want both. And I remember feeling that way when I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't be a successful business owner and a parent at the same time. I need to choose. And if I choose parenting, which is the thing that's obviously most important, then this is going to fail. And when I heard that, I thought, wow, what about yes and? Why can't we have both? There's people out there who have both. Why do I think that I can't have that? So it became my mission to be successful at both. And I focused on that. And I still focus on that. So then fast forward a little bit, she's now offering this neuro coaching certification program. So I could get certified as a coach, learning her neuroscience method. So the second thing she said to me that was totally earth-shattering was a thought always precedes an emotion. And I think a lot of us go through our lives feeling like our emotions come first. And that's what we react to, right? Tragedy happens. We get fired. The world shuts down because of COVID. We feel anxious. We feel nervous. We feel angry. We feel sad. So then we react to those feelings and make decisions based on those feelings. But that's not truth. Truth is our subconscious minds, nanoseconds before, create a thought. And a thought makes your brain release the neurochemicals that produce that emotion. And you can change your thoughts. I was floored by that. I was like, oh my God, well, I'm going to test it. What do I have to lose? I'm going to test it. So whenever I felt mad at a client or frustrated or whatever, I was like, okay, well, what am I thinking about right now? And I started reversing things. And I started saying, okay, well, I can look at it this way and I can look at it that way. And then you start to find proof out in the world of, okay, well, yeah, I could look at it this way and yeah, there's proof here. But if I look at it this way, there's also proof here. And I get to choose which path feels better, which path is more successful, which path brings more joy to me, to my family, to my clients, to all the things that matter. And so I became obsessed with that. I'll be officially certified in December.
So there's people out there who are either thinking about quitting their jobs or they are, not content in their current role. What's a piece of advice that you would give them as they're thinking about what a possible next step could be?
I would say my best advice is know at least a generalized vision of what you want. Most people don't know what they want. They just know they don't want this, which is also good to know. But I think you have to have your vision of what you do want. And when you can look at that and say, I can see myself as a business owner doing X, Y, and Z, serving this kind of people. This is what my day looks like. This is how I feel when I'm living this life. Now you have to take that and leverage it and harness it and bring it here. Because you're not going to get to here by being the same person you were that got you here. Right? The same kind of thinking that has you here in this terrible space in your world, and everything you look at is dark and gloomy, and you hate it, you hate it, you hate it, you hate it, you hate it. That's not going to get you your vision. What do you think? Somebody's just going to like tap you on the shoulder and be like, here you go. It's on you. It's on you to hold that vision and say, okay, this is how I feel. Future Maria feels this way in her business, in her life. How can she feel that way right now? How would this Maria look at this challenge right now? Would she see this idiot that I have to work with as like a drudgery and I hate my life and let it, ruin everything? Or do I say, okay, they're fine. They're on their own path. They're doing their own thing. I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to focus on this one thing that I'm really good at and reward myself for doing a good job at it. I'm going to look at this one little glimmer of thing that I like in my business or in my job, and I'm going to focus on that because I get to. I am going to stay feeling good and hold the vision that this is going to happen as soon as I get shit ready here. This is all preparation because this is not easy. Like your future dream, like it might be better, it might make you happier, but it's not going to be easy by any stretch. Right? Being in business is very difficult, but it's a different kind of challenging because you want it. So like use these to build those muscles and see this time as that resistance is building those muscles so that you can be stronger and ready for the next thing.
Thank you for listening. It really means a lot to us. We want to hear from you as we keep growing. Please reach out on whyiquit.co with any feedback or if you have any guests that you think would be a good fit. Subscribe on whyiquit.substack.com to get an update every Wednesday with the newest guest. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube to get notified with the latest episodes. Also, a special thanks to Chris Dole for the music. Check out his newest album, Here's to You. Thank you, and we will be back next Wednesday.